Good morning, good morning, good morning. 90.7 KPFK. This is your girl, IFe JIe. Terry, is you with me? Holla at me, man, in the chat and let me know that you are getting my back. Welcome to STReeT SANKOFA. Not sure what happened with the intro there, but y'all know how we get down. It's the return of the source. It's the return of the source, man. We like to play that song all the way through, Terry, to get them good vibrations, strong and good with our audience out there. Let them know that this is the time that we're getting ready to go back to talk about the things that are important in hip hop culture. In order to understand where we're going in the future, we got to know where the heck we've been in our past. If everything is solid, I'm gonna keep on moving. I like to play a little soft music underneath us, but if we don't have anything, no worries, no worries. It's your girl IFe JIe, man. Up in the lab early this morning, 7 a.m. I'm catching all my folks on the way to the job. So y'all definitely be safe out there. I'm so grateful that it ain't raining today. Ooh-wee. So grateful that it's not raining. So definitely have a good day, a good Thursday today. Wanted to give a special shout out really quickly to the show that was just on right before me. Educate, agitate, organize is how they call it, right? And so I want to just kind of piggyback on that. They had a gentleman on there talking about labor unions and labor rights, which I think is something that we all are interested in. And I want to give a special shout out to the campus of Los Angeles Trade Tech. We're going to be doing something very similar today on the campus, talking to a brother that goes by the name of Greg Akili. And he's going to be, sound check. He's going to be talking to us about labor rights as well today on the campus of Los Angeles Trade Tech. If you're interested in coming and supporting this brother Greg Akili, Baba Greg Akili, if he is somebody that you want to hear more from and hear more about of what he has to offer in terms of his take on labor unions, then I encourage you, come on down, Los Angeles Trade Tech. We have a series of events going down for Black History Month. We're very excited about that. And I want to encourage everybody, if you can, to pull up today at 12 o'clock. We'll be right on the campus, and we're going to be listening to Baba Greg Akili today, talking to us about labor rights and why labor rights are things that we definitely got to keep our eyes and our ears on the prize to addressing in our communities. All right, y'all, you know how we like to get down at the beginning of the show. We always do a little segment that I call, paying homage, paying honor to those newsletters, periodicals, and outlets that are also dedicated to spreading the word of the people, spreading the people's news. And so I want to give thanks for the opportunity to bring forth a periodical today. I believe this one is an oldie but goodie. I keep coming back to this one because really, to be honest with you, I just like the way that it feels when I open up a newspaper and I see that it is from the New African News. So let's get into it real quick. This is live from the periodical called Rebuild. And I'm so grateful that this brother sent me so many different articles, man. I got a whole series of these magazines going on. And so we celebrate all independent outlets, all independent news outlets. Anybody that's willing to take a chance and talk that talk for the people is definitely somebody that we support. And so today's article, we're going to pull from Rebuild, a New African Independence Movement periodical. And I mentioned to you guys last time that we were together that this is the celebration of Black History Month. And I'm so grateful to be a part of many celebrations happening in the city. For instance, for those of you who are able to come and party with us on February 18th, we're going to be at Pan Pacific Park. That's on Beverly Drive. And we're going to be doing the Los Angeles Black History Month Festival. And I'm super excited to be a part of this opportunity. Myself, and of course, y'all know my co-host Sly Rivers and our other program, Cut to the Chase. We're going to be both holding it down, man, for the Los Angeles Black History Month Festival this year. And I'm super, super, super excited to get that going. I'm gonna be hosting, and I'm hyped, man. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm aware. So again, thank you for joining in. Y'all know that we're gonna talk about something really good today. And I want to encourage all my folks, if you're not able to listen here live on 90.7 KPFK, please join me on Facebook. You can always go to IFe JIe is the page and join the conversation on Facebook as well. And all my Facebook people, I appreciate you chiming in with me. Feel free to call in 818-985-5735, 818-985-5735. And so as we celebrate Black History Month, I gave this article to you guys last time, and you know what? I don't mind repeating myself because sometimes, it's important for us to master certain things. And so as we celebrate Black History Month, one of the things that I want to challenge us on is to think about what it is that we call ourselves and how that name has changed over time. And, it's interesting when we think about the history of African people in the United States. We've been called a series of things. Some of those names seem very familiar. Some of them names you would never even heard of because it wasn't your era, wasn't your time. But the truth of the matter is that we have been calling ourselves a variety of names since our experience in America has begun. For those of us who came on the slave ships, there was some of us that was already here, y'all, but that's another conversation. But the name that I want to offer to everyone today, as we go down the timeline of names, is the name that we refer to as New African. And what does New African mean? New African means that you identify with a certain land here in the United States, land that we believe we could have a claim to because of our contributions to this land, because of the blood that we shed on the land, because many of us come from these lands anyway. Y'all know that we all come from either New Orleans, we from Louisiana, we from Alabama, we from Mississippi, we from Atlanta, we from South Carolina, and of course, many of us come down from that swamp down in Florida. All my Florida boys stand up. And it's a real reality that many of us come from this population of people that are notoriously located in this southern part of the United States. And so we call that New Africa. We call that New Africa. Not to be confused with old Africa or indigenous Africa or anything like that, but we claim that space as New African territory. And so I want to read to you from a quick piece of our New African newsletter, Rebuild, a New African Independent Movement periodical. And they said that it must be borne in mind that the New African identity was evolving simultaneous to the growth of a new European identity, i.e. Americans. Side by side, two new identities were evolving, one as enslaver and the other as the enslaved, one as American and the other as New African. Two distinct realities of two distinct peoples. And so as we celebrate Black History Month this month, I want to offer you the term New African, because it might be something that resonates with you, might be something that you want to put in your vocabulary as you proudly proclaim your identity this month and every single day after this month is over. So happy Black History Month to all my New Africans out there. All right, y'all, we're getting ready to get into something I think I've been really contemplating. And Terry, again, if you got any soft music, man, that you could play underneath me, I really would appreciate it. Anything with a nice vibe, nice up-tempo vibration. Sometimes the silence of my voice is not always what we want. But if you have anything to play, I would love for you to play it. Give it a go. If not, I'll figure something out. Anywho, today on STReeT SANKOFA, we're going to talk about hip hop versus the mainstream. And the last time we were together, we talked about the history of gangster rap, which was important because this is the space that we come together to talk about the culture. A lot of people give hip hop criticism, and they say that we don't get down to these uncomfortable contradictions and some of the things that don't always add up in the culture. And I push back on that. I say, you know what? You need to call into the show. You need to tune in to the show. You need to check out what we got talking about, what we're talking about, because this is the space where we do just that. It's okay for us to be at odds. It's okay for us to have differing opinions. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, but it's a beautiful thing to be able to wrestle with these ideas because hip hop culture is the space where we have so many things that are in contradiction, so many things that need to be assessed, so many things that really have the potential to strengthen us all. And so, as I don't claim to be an expert, I do have a little bit of experience doing some due diligence, researching and studying the culture. And I think it's important for us to come into these spaces now to be able to talk about it. 50 years has passed of hip hop being in the mainstream, being in the at the fingertips, available to the masses. And so I want to get into some conversations that we need to just have as we strive to be able to look at the past in order to understand where we want to go in the future. So welcome to Street Sankofa. Welcome to Street Sankofa. This is the space where we're going to talk about all types of things within hip hop culture. So today, I want to get into something very interesting because, the Grammys just went down. Y'all know the Grammys just went down, and there were so many things, so many oohs, so many ahs of the Grammys. I personally don't tend to watch things like this. I don't watch the Grammys. I don't watch BET Awards. Them kind of things make my nerves bad, and I don't really know why. I got to get down to the bottom of my social anxiety. But it's definitely a point. Good morning to all my family on Facebook. Good morning to all my family down in the ATL. Mama Kiri signing all the babies holding down. We're going to class. We're going to class this morning. We are getting ready to go down the conversation of hip hop versus the mainstream. And it's important for us to do this because there's this sentiment within hip hop culture that I have to be honest about. I do this, I think, coming from the framework of being a new African, of being somebody that believes in autonomy, believes in self-determination. And I want to start out the conversation with this. If you ask somebody for something, it gives them not only the power and the privilege of giving it to you, but it also gives them the power and the privilege of taking it back from you as well. It's almost like that moment I go in class and I ask one of my classmates, "Hey, can you give me a pencil?" And they're like, "Sure, Dr. J, you can use my pencil." But at any moment in the class session, that same classmate of mine could say, yo, my pencil broke and now I need my pencil back from you. Let me get my pencil back. And so there's this very human fundamental thing that says, if I am in a place to give you something, then I'm also in that same space to be able to take it back from you. This is why I have a lot of struggles when I say that we be asking for freedom. I've always said that freedom is something that you take. You take your freedom and then you fight to protect it. But you don't ask nobody for your freedom. Because if I have the power to give you your freedom, then that means that I have the power to take your freedom back whenever I want to. But if you create it for yourself, if you create it for yourself, then your fight is only to protect that which you've created. And so I want to begin this conversation with this idea about hip hop and what it took and what it's been taking for it to be in the mainstream of American culture. So Terry's holding me down today. Shouts out to my guy, Gary Baca, because Gary is usually on the ones and twos. But today we got Terry holding me down, and I appreciate you so much, Terry. Stay with me, man. Stay with me, man, because Gary holds my hand the entire time. So, Terry, I want to get into our first clip. It should be labeled clip one. And I want to begin our conversation by having you guys kind of check this guy out. And let's talk about it. Let's see if he can set a standard. This is the first time or the first moment that we see hip hop go into the quote unquote mainstream with the recording of the notoriously iconic record Rapper's Delight. Let's get into clip one, Terry. I'm not sure if Terry's with me, man. I think he is. Let's see. Terry, are you there? We're going to get into clip one real quickly. And stand by here. I'm here. It's playing. I can't hear it. Okay, Terry, you're going to have to talk to me, man. Uh, okay, yeah, talk to me, Terry. You're going to have to talk to me, man, because I can't hear the clips playing. So I don't know when they're finished. I don't know when they're done. And my audience here on YouTube and my audience on Facebook, we're relying on listening to that too. Shouts out to everybody on Facebook for joining the conversation. This is STReeT SANKOFA, 90.7 KPFK with your girl IFe JIe, aka Dr. J. So for those of you on the air on Let's Listening Live on the radio station, you just heard this clip. And this clip is by a guy that pretty much says, that Rapper's Delight wasn't a hip hop record. And some people criticize the fact that hip hop went mainstream and not really reflected the culture from the very beginning. And what's interesting about this conversation is that one of the justifications for the claim that Rapper's Delight wasn't really a hip hop song or a hip hop record to reflect the culture was the fact that it didn't focus on the DJ. Y'all know that hip hop culture genuinely is a series of elements, not just rap, but also DJing, beatboxing, breakdancing, graffiti art, and some would say knowledge itself. And I add a sixth element of hustling. But at the very fundamental basis of hip hop culture, it's rapping, DJing slash beatboxing as well, graffiti art, and what is the other one? Rapping, DJ, graffiti art. I'm having a brain fart right now. Oh, and breakdancing. Okay. And so what's interesting is that none of those elements, especially the emphasis of the DJ, is in the rotation or in the emphasis or in the forefront or in the center of this Rapper's Delight song. And so some people will criticize that and say that Rapper's Delight never from the very beginning reflected the truth of hip hop culture. And so from the start, the moment hip hop got into the mainstream, it wasn't really hip hop. It wasn't really a reflection of the culture. And so even though Sylvia Robinson made a big contribution to the culture because she brought it to the mainstream with the release of Rapper's Delight, it became super popular. In fact, it caught the attention of the world. And it began the journey of hip hop coming into the mainstream. But what's interesting is that once we allowed hip hop to go there, once we gave it to the masses, we also kind of gave up our control because the masses started to determine what music was hot and what music was not. And what's interesting is that most of the consumers of hip hop music weren't necessarily those of us that were living in the South Bronx, those of us that were living in urban communities in many cities around the world. Our major consumers began to develop in the suburbs with young white folks that were interested in listening to rebel music, kind of like rock and roll's flavor, you know? And they were fascinated by the culture. And that's no shade or no problem, but it's the consumer that started to dictate what was hot and what was not in hip hop culture, which was totally different than the creators and the culture determining and dictating what was happening. So now we are at the Grammys 2024. And there's so many things about what has happened once hip hop went into the mainstream. And a lot of times when we criticize hip hop, we're talking about mainstream hip hop music. We're talking about the music that's on the radio. And as I mentioned to you guys a couple of episodes ago, you know, the thing about who controls the radio and who controls the mainstream and who controls the record labels are also the people who control the prisons. And so you're starting to see this web that's being created to keep certain types of music in the forefront of the culture. But that is by no means, a reflection genuinely of what the people who create the culture and the people who appreciate the culture and the people who have cultivated the culture over time. That's not necessarily what we believe. There's somebody else that's determining that. And so as we get into this conversation, hip hop versus the mainstream, was it a good idea for us to get into the mainstream? What did we give up? Many of us have became millionaires. Sylvia Robertson is one of the iconic entrepreneurs, moguls, if you will, of hip hop culture. She's the beginning of that type of archetype. And we see others come behind her, like the Russell Simmons, like the 50 Cents, like the Dr. Dre's. And they become multi-millionaires, billionaires even. And so as we think about what hip hop has given up by going to the mainstream, one of the biggest things that we've given up, although we've made a lot of money, is we've given up control. We've given up the ability to self-determine what represents the culture and what doesn't. And that's not nothing that just started. That happened from the very beginning with Rapper's Delight. So I want to get into a moment, and this is a quite a long clip. And so I really want to play this, and I want to give the space to have this clip really do its just due. And let's get into what KRS One. And I know my guy G eventually, hopefully he'll call in today. And again, welcome to the program, 90.7 KPFK. This is STReeT SANKOFA. But your girl IFe JIe, they mind. My students call me Dr. J. You can call me either one, doesn't matter. But we're talking about hip hop. This is the space for us to talk that talk. We have to have these critical conversations in order to understand the direction of where we want hip hop to go. We have to understand the past. We got to learn from the past. We got to understand it, break it down, chew it up, spit it out, have debates about it, disagree about it. But it's a very intentional space that we're creating here at STReeT SANKOFA because we want to do better moving forward. We want to do better moving forward. So let's see what KRS-One has to say about the idea of hip hop going mainstream and what happens when the Grammys, things and entities like the Grammys get involved with determining what's hot and what's not in the culture. Let's get into clip 2. Thanks, Terry.
Heated, anything like that. I was asked about 2 months ago, they asked me to do it and I turned them down. With all due respect, LL Cool J himself called me, spoke to my wife, and pretty much begged for me to be on the show, but we turned him down. And reason being is because I know people don't understand this. And actually, let me get to the question of S1Ws, but I'll say this into the record that I know people don't understand this. And I say this respectfully, like say don't understand this, meaning that KRS-One is a hip hop extremist. I'm not violent, violent extremist. No. I'm insane with this culture. I know I must have lost my mind in this. I don't fight it. I don't apologize for it. I recognize that my experience in this thing called hip hop is different from mostly everybody else's experience with hip hop. Having said that, I know I have knowledge of myself. I am aware of who I am and what I'm worth in this culture. I hold myself out as an orthodox hip hop, meaning that one of us are going to have to sacrifice, I would say, because it's not really even a sacrifice, but that's the word. One of us are going to have to sacrifice our careers or our whatever you're supposed to get in this industry. We're going to have to sacrifice the success of industry to maintain culture, that things like remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Not Sunday is holy because we said so. No, it's your remembrance of the Sabbath that keeps it holy. If you don't remember the Sabbath, it ain't holy. This is another Sunday, another Saturday, another Friday, and it is what it is. But if you remember it as sacred, it becomes sacred. I remember hip hop as sacred. Others don't think of hip hop like this, and I ain't trying to force my way on nobody. But I'm having an experience within hip hop that's offering me health, awareness, wealth, knowledge. I don't know what else to say. So for me, I walk down the street and the people, old people to very, very young people, KRS, keep doing it. You the real, you the one, you, Chris. I don't take that in as ego. Yeah, I'm the man. Nah, you're expecting something from me. I look like something to you. And what I look like to you is good. I don't want to fuck that up, okay, at all. You looking at me, I'm inspiring you towards something. Spirituality, maybe your blackness, maybe hip hop, whatever. So I look at myself and I carry myself a certain way. I restrict myself in a certain way. I discipline myself in a certain way because I know who I am in this culture. You're in the temple of hip hop. This is our home. This place, this institution can never side with, come under, understand the exploitation of our culture. Never will you ever see me standing in the environment where our culture is being exploited. Or if you do see me there, the next moment, this thing's gonna fall. I'm there to bring this shit down. If you see me in a situation like that, you should say, yo, watch out. Something's about to happen. Turn your cameras on. Something's about to go down. Why is Chris here? Why is he here? Something's about to, he gonna say some shit right now that is gonna, Having said that, so when I got the call, I immediately saw, nah. First of all, it's the Grammys. You get no respect here. None. You have no respect here. Now, we respect your existence. We know you exist. And we know that you're the Grammys. We understand that. And we respect that, your existence. But you ignored hip hop for 49 years. At the 50th year, you want to call us? 49 years you ignored us. The 50th year. That's when you call. You couldn't even call on 47 and gear it up to at least 50, okay? At least get us into 47. No. You wait till the 50th year to want to call hip hop's authentic teacher? Nah, you don't get that privilege. I refuse to show up. Y'all go ahead and play games with yourselves. The last part that I did see of this thing, and I haven't seen the show, so I can't judge everything. But, you know, see, I don't want to say nobody name, but I'm just saying, if we know, let me put it this way. If we know, okay, this is truth now, okay? Nobody's opinion, no, forget how we feel, forget theory. If we know for a fact that hip hop is breaking, MCing, graffiti art, and DJing. Now, we can argue these other ones, but we know for certain that what we call hip hop is breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing. We know that. We've all decided on that. We've all agreed on that. Books are written. Documentaries are done. We all know this. So what is all this other stuff? Like what is this other stuff that you're calling hip hop? That's not hip hop. So if you're going to do a hip hop 50th anniversary and you're going to call hip hop to it, you have to have hip hop there. Hip hop was not there. Rappers were there. Very respected rappers were there. But it wasn't hip hop. Because hip hop would have got on that mic and said, fuck the Grammys. You dissed us for 49 years now. That would have been in a rhyme. You motherfuckers are corny. We had that shit going in a freestyle if that was real hip hop. But it wasn't real hip hop, so let y'all go ahead and have fun at a party. That's what it was. It was a party. They had some fun. And we left it at that. They got a chance to broadcast it. There were artists there too, by the way, that needed the exposure too. I will say that. There was artists there that got exposed. It was dope. It was dope from that point of view. So respectfully, they did their thing. And I hope it was successful for them. And it looked like it was. But it was not hip hop. And this is what I mean by this as well. If I'm not there, it's not hip hop. And I don't say that arrogantly. I'm not saying that arrogantly. I'm saying it truthfully. I'm the first person to say I am hip hop. I brought the philosophy into existence. I'm hip hop's first teacher. I'm its first philosopher. These are facts. I'm not bragging. I'm not saying that. In fact, a lot of what I'm saying is a burden, to be honest with you, okay? But let's just go with what we know to be the truth. So if you're not dealing with the truth, you ain't dealing with KRS. And they're not dealing with the truth. We know hip hop is breaking them, saying graffiti or DJing. So what is all this other stuff y'all doing? There's all this, and not even entertain me with breaking then. Entertain me with graffiti art then. You're not even entertaining a real hip hopper. You're just exploiting the culture so you can sell commercials to a gullible white audience.
All right. STReeT SANKOFA, y'all. I apologize for a little bit of the explicit language. I got to do better editing these things out. But 90.7 KPFK, we having a conversation this morning. Hip hop versus the mainstream. I love this clip from KRS One because when I thought about this conversation, I didn't think about what really makes hip hop hip hop. And KRS One reminds us that we get a very watered down version of the culture when we're consuming it on the mainstream. Hip hop is not just rapping. Quite literally, it is not. What makes it a culture is these multiple forms of expression that come together to make something so beautiful, where there's space for dancers. Shouts out to my guy, Artist Euphoria is his handle on Instagram. He's always posting these amazing videos of him in these ciphers dancing and expressing. And shouts out to my girl, Dr. Shamel Bell, who does work around street dance activism. Dancing, moving our bodies is a part of our culture. It's a part of hip hop. It's not a background dancer thing, it's a forefront of the culture. So, to KRS-One's point, absolutely. Hip hop is not just rapping, it's also dancing. Break dancing is the form that we started with, but even dancing in itself has transformed over time into different many art forms and different many flavors and different many expressions. And it's not just the dancers. Shouts out to all of my visual artists, my creatives that can literally take a canvas of something and make it into something beautiful. One of my guys, one of my comrades in the streets of Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles, is a brother by the name of Keenan Chapman. Keenan is a visual artist, and he's an amazing visual artist. He's done murals all throughout the city of Los Angeles and even in Atlanta, Georgia. And speaking of Atlanta, Georgia, I'm thinking of even my guys like Tuki and Maya Bailey and them over there at City of Ink. Visual artists, Artemis Jenkins, visual artists, photographers, people who are able to give us something through vision, whether that's drawing, whether that's photography. That also is a part of our expression as hip hop. We can't forget that. That's a super part, a super big influential part to the culture. And of course, shouts out to all of my DJs. Our DJs are essential. They are the heartbeat of the culture. Now, we got some DJs that get their flowers in the mainstream, like DJ Khalid, right? We know he's a DJ. But there needs to be more of an emphasis on the DJ. I remember the first time that I went to go hang out in New York for real, for real, for real. And I start realizing that a lot of my homies up there were DJs were only DJs. They were able to make money, sustain themselves, have a genuine hustle by just being a DJ. I was like, that's all you do? They're like, yeah, this is New York. DJs still got love, got respect. So shouts out to my people, DJ Tunde, DJ Frankie, you know what I mean? To my guy, you know what I mean? To all of my tribe up there, doing their thing. I can see my friend's face in my mind, and I'm ashamed that I can't think of his name right now. I should be embarrassed that I can't think of his name. But it's a lot of DJs. It's a lot of DJs in certain cities that are able to make a name for themselves. And so, to KRS-One's point, to his point, hip hop is not just rapping, y'all. In fact, that's just one element of 6 that I use that describes the entirety of a whole culture, of a whole culture. And when we allow people like others that come outside of our culture, that want to a la carte our culture, that takes just the rapping or takes just the DJing and forget the inclusiveness of this entire genre of music and culture of lifestyle, and we give them the opportunity to determine what's hot and what's not, we've completely lost our way. And so let's join the conversation. I want to know what y'all think. Hip hop versus the mainstream. And I'm going to play one last clip as before we get out of here. But if you want to call in, please do. 818-985-5735. That's 818-985-5735. I got my guy, Rashaki Maskani from the LA Community Education Network, and you can always check them out. They're always on Zoom. They had Maulana Karinga at one point for Kwanzaa. I was so grateful to join and witness that historical moment on the communityeducationnetwork.com. Visit their website and join them always on Zoom. But my brother, thanks for calling in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You turned in the streets, SANKOFA. Thanks for calling. What you got to say, my brother?
Oh goodness, you are so wonderful, Dr. J. You are so wonderful.
I
I'm
appreciate it,
glad that
man. I
you,
appreciate
I'm
it. Thanks
glad
for
that you,
listening.
hey, I'm glad that you're doing the show and you're doing an excellent job, by the way.
Thank you, my brother.
And
Thank you.
and
We
to
learning. We learning every
KRS-One,
episode. I'm learning something new.
okay, for Brother KRS-One, I take my hat off to that brother. He's very courageous and brave. He's standing up for hip hop. He's not selling out. He's just a lyrical genius, and the things that he said was very pertinent. And again, he's not bragging or anything. His work speaks for itself. So I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate you, and I don't want to take up too much time, but keep doing your thing. I'm representing CommunityEducationNetwork.com, and we have an open podcast on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You can join on the homepage. So, Professor Dr. J, keep doing your thing. You're wonderful.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, my brother. And thank you always for just the mutual support. You know, there's a moment where we gotta really be intentional on making these platforms that are talking about the news of the people popular. So I want to encourage everybody, please visit communityeducationnetwork.com. They're always having amazing historians, amazing pillars in our community on their show. As I mentioned, they had the guy who created Kwanzaa, Maulana Karinga, during the Kwanzaa season. So these brothers are definitely not missing a beat. So thank you for calling in. And I appreciate you. I'm with you. KRS-One is one of the few people that I was able to really get a really genuine feel of, wait a minute, there's a line that we have to draw in the sand. We have to determine what hip hop is and what hip hop is not. And what hip hop is not is just a rapping culture. In fact, when we get into the rapping culture, as y'all was able to see with us last episode, we even talk about gangster rap. You know, there's so many other layers to what being gangster really is. And we don't necessarily have to allow the mainstream to define that for us. We should be able to define that for ourselves. I think there's this larger narrative that's happening about Black control of Black bodies and Black creativity. And as we celebrate Black History Month, we need to be able to acknowledge, what are we still giving away and not seeing a return on? Our legacy here in this country, for those of us who came here in chains, has always been pivotal about giving up our labor, our intellect, our creativity for free, for nothing. And I challenge hip hop, because I dare say that we're doing the same damn thing again with this thing that we all have come to love. And so there's a moment where we need to stop giving it away, and not even giving it away to the point where we're not benefiting, but giving it away where we lose control of determining what this culture really is. And to KRS's point, if Grammys, if BT, if the American Music Awards, if these other platforms of the mainstream, if they get to determine what the culture is and what the culture is not, they do a horrible job, because they don't even focus on the entirety of the culture. That's like coming into somebody's house and only giving the kids something to eat, and you got a whole family in there hungry. Why not give some to the DJs, to the break dancers, to the graffiti artists, to those teachers? Because one of the elements of hip hop culture that I promote is knowledge of self in the community. So why aren't the master teachers getting recognition as well, if this was to be a hip hop centered celebration? Or even those of us that I call the hustlers, which I propose as a sixth element of hip hop. And see, I had to check myself at one point too. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Let me keep it real one time. Y'all know that I have been conditioned to be within the Western Academy. And I'm not mad at that because they gave me my letters. I earned my Dr. J through and through. Shouts out to UCLA and all my Black Bruins over there holding it down. But there's a moment where I recognize that I got conditioned of wanting some type of affirmation from some outside entity to recognize the work that I was doing and to co-sign my intellectual contributions to hip hop culture. What am I saying? I'm saying that when I created and I wanted to start to offer a sixth element within hip hop culture, the element that I call hustling, the first thing I did was try to publish it in journals. I wanted someone to pick it up to be able to co-sign it, to say, yes, we agree with her that this would be a wonderful contribution to the culture, a sixth element. But then I had to check myself and I had to say to myself, wait. Why am I asking for some kind of affirmation from some outside body of people that has nothing to necessarily do with the culture? These academic journals are not necessarily hip hop magazines. But what I did realize is that if I talk to my brothers and my sisters, to the people that I loved and people that I celebrated hip hop with, people like Minister Serve, right? To my people like IRS, IRS down in Atlanta, Georgia. When I talk to people like Dr. Angelels Moja, the people that I know, Dr. Lakita Bonet Bailey, the people that I know care about the culture, feel like they are pioneers in ways and contributors and custodians of this culture. When I talk to them about the sixth element of hustling, that's where the cosign that I needed came from. And so we have to get out of this vibe of expecting for somebody that usually don't look like us to give us some authority to be bold enough to go forward. And so, yeah, I claim it now. We said it. You're hearing it here live on 90.7 KPFK STReeT SANKOFA. Hear ye, hear ye. The sixth element of hip hop culture will forever be known to be the element of hustling. And there's a whole history that we can get into. And maybe we should do that for the next time that we're together on STReeT SANKOFA. And we can go into what hustling is all about. But more so and more importantly to the conversation today is that we want to make sure that we are acknowledging the roles that we have given to the other in determining what's important and what's powerful and what's solid and cool in hip hop culture, and giving it to the mainstream. I don't know, y'all, from the very beginning with Rapper's Delight. And now that we look at the Grammys, we don't necessarily see a genuine reflection of the culture. And I want to end our conversation on this. And I love that there's some of us that are bold enough to stand firm, to do what Cat Williams says and stand on business of what the culture really is, right? And rapping just ain't it. Trap rap, gangster rap, drill rap. That's not just hip hop culture. That's a part of it. That's a part of it. And it's a part that we embrace with all of its glory and all of its contradictions. That's a part of it. But that ain't all of the culture. Let's get one more caller in before we get into this next clip. 90.7 KPFK. This is your girl, IFe JIe, aka Dr. J. Either one you can call me is fine. You can join the conversation at any time. 818-985-5735. I think we got a caller on the line. Erica from LA. What's going on? Hey, girl. Hey.
Oh, Ife. Oh my goodness. I was introduced to you listening to the Spy River show, and now you've got this show, and I just wanted to call in to express my appreciation. I drive my eighth grader to school every morning, and every morning we have KPFK on because that's where he gets his real education.
I know that's right. I love that.
All the programs are amazing, but sometimes I hear him kind of tune out. But with your show, talking about hip hop, I see him just lean a little bit more forward. It's a different way.
Beautiful.
To educate. And I just am so grateful. I am so blown away by your show and educated so much. I want to tell you the other day, I had to pull the car over so I could type in my notes. I wrote, "What makes you gangster is to stand up to oppression and hold your line."
There we go. Gang, gang. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so grateful to hear that not only that you're listening, but that your young person is listening, because that's where it's at. You already know, we got it. We got to make sure this youth is getting his work, man. So I'm so grateful. Shouts out to the young ones going to school in the morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks, Erica. And I'm always grateful when my sisters call in, because one of the things about the culture, it tends to be very male centric and male heavy, but we holding it down. You know what I mean? So thanks, Erica, for just joining in the conversation and giving me that great feedback. I really am hoping that if anything, that we become critical thinkers. And I say that all the time to the people that I love. Don't believe anything that you hear just for the surface value of it. There's always something else that's going on behind the scenes. And as you see, when we're talking about things like gangster rap and the mainstream culture of hip hop, we got to be critical about it. We got to be critical about it. It's not just what we always are given. There's always these other stories behind these moments. And so again, as we talk about the Grammys, because I'm not necessarily a hater. I think KRS-One was very, very clear. Like, we recognize that the Grammys is a thing. People get dressed up for it. People feel honored that they're receiving these awards. Who doesn't like to give a good award? Who doesn't? I know I would, right? A small recognition to make me cry. So the truth of the matter is that there's a thing that we're getting into when we are giving away our intellectual property, and we're not controlling it. And that's really what I'm getting at. And if we want to do better moving forward, then we have to at least start with saying that if you're going to represent hip hop culture, then you have to be inclusive of all the pieces of our genre, not just one, not just one. Okay, let's get one more caller in, and then I'm going to take a quick clip because I want to close out today with the speech that Jay-Z gave at the Grammys. And I think that it's pivotal to be able to end with this conversation because Jay-Z is a mainstream, quote unquote, mainstream artist. He's made wonderful strides in the industry. He is a hip hop mogul, a hip hop billionaire, if you will. And there's so much that he could be saying at an award ceremony, receiving a Grammy, but he chose to stand on business and to call out the Grammys for just not getting it right. But before we get into that, let's get into one more caller. Tyrone from Rancho Cucamonga, my guy. Welcome to 90.7 KPFK. You tuned in to STReeT, SANKOFA, my brother. What do you have to say this morning? Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking my call. I just want to say, hip hop, the element of hustle, really that should have been in it from the beginning because, coming from the streets of Philadelphia, and all the inner cities, we were trying to get out of where we was at. So we we hustled about what we was doing to get to the next space, And I think, it's really along the same lines as what, some of our beloved brothers in the industry, i.e. Jane Dash, culture vultures, right?
Yeah.
But we as a culture, we got to say what's right and what's not right. And I don't think enough of us is doing that in hip hop either.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be building schools. There should be an endowment to hip hop where we build schools in inner cities throughout the country.
Absolutely.
And stand on that type business for the generations that's coming up, after us.
I agree with that 100%. Thanks for calling in, my brother Tyrone from Rancho Cucamonga, because we out here. What's honest is that at one point, I know Kanye West was trying to build a school. And I know that he was trying to use hip hop as a part of the pedagogy there. And y'all know that's one of my passions, using hip hop centricity in the classroom. But that's a thing. That's true. There's a moment where if we are very intentional about what we're doing as a culture and as a genre, we can be very intentional in the institutions that we build from this culture and this genre. And so there's an endless opportunity there when we take control, when we are in the driver's seat. And there's nothing more, I think, revolutionary than to be able to benefit from your own creativity and your own labor. Because in America, that's not what capitalism is designed to allow you to do. Usually, you don't get to benefit from your own labor. You give your labor to somebody else and they benefit from it, and you get a small piece of the return. And so one of the most revolutionary things that we can do is take complete control of the things that we produce so that we become the 100% profiteers of our own creativity and our own labor. I want to close out today's episode with clip 3, Terry. I appreciate Terry for holding me down in the place of Gary Baca. This is 90.7 KPFK. And if you haven't chosen and thought about it before, I want you to think about it today. Become a subscriber. Become a subscriber, because it's because of people's support that we're able to have conversations like this and networks that continue to put at the forefront what the people think is most important. So let's close out today by listening to the speech by Jay-Z, who just won a Grammy not too long ago.
Peace. First of all, thanks to Dr. Dre, said he in the house, he's somewhere. Up there he is. Andre Young, thank you, sir. All the doors that you opened, you know, showed us that we can be rock stars. Seeing you on the Rolling Stone. Obviously, there's Run DMC with the Leathers and the Aerosmith. But when you came out west, you took it to a whole new level, put us on covers, Rolling Stone, put us around the world. You and Snoop, all that y'all did, all the records y'all broke. So thank you for this. Honored to accept it. Honored to accept it. And thank you to the Black Music Collective for all the work that you guys do, scholarships for young creatives. And hopefully, you know, I'm adding to, you know, what you guys are doing out here. Obviously, it's great to have an award for such an icon. How far we've come with Will Smith and them, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince winning their first Grammy in '89 and boycotting because it wasn't televised. And then they went to like a hotel and watched the Grammys. I didn't even understand what wasn't a great boycott. We're here. But then '98, I took a page out of their book. I was nominated for the Best Rap Album, and DMX had dropped 2 albums that year. They both were #1. Shout out to DMX. And he wasn't nominated at all. So I boycotted and I watched the Grammys. I'm just saying, we want y'all to get it right. We love y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all. We want y'all to get it right, at least get it close to right. And obviously it's subjective. Y'all don't got to clap at everything. Obviously it's subjective because, you know, it's music and it's opinion based. But, you know, some things, you know, I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than everyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work. Think about that. The most Grammys, never won Album of the Year. That doesn't work. You know, some of you gonna go home tonight and feel like you've been robbed. Some of you may get robbed. Some of you don't belong in the category. Oh, no, okay. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth. But outside of that, you know, we got to keep showing up. And forget the Grammys for a second, just in life. As my daughter sits and stares at me nervous as I am. Just in life, you got to keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Forget the Grammys. You got to keep showing up until they give you all those accolades you feel you deserve. Until they call you chairman. Until they call you a genius. Until they call you the greatest of all time. You feel me?
You feel me? You figured deal me? STReeT SANKOFA 90.7 KPFK. I want to leave you with that. Don't be scared to hold your line and to stand on business. Stand up for hip hop and allow the world to conform to your needs and to your standards. And don't give up. Don't give up, because one day the tables will turn. I love y'all. I'll see y'all next time. This has been STReeT SANKOFA, another beautiful episode. Same time on first Thursdays and second Thursdays, 7 a.m. See you later.
You get up the same, using this music, the take confusion, the power will prove it. It's the return of the source. Hey, it's you tuned in, of course. It's you let the I say like force.
We're listening to KPFK 90.7 FM and